So I asked some followers and friends if they had questions for you. Matty in Newcastle says, is there one moment from filming Skins that you wish you could go back and experience again?
Yes, there's definitely a moment that kind of came to mind immediately. And it's more of a behind the scenes moment, but it was very early on. I think it was in the first few weeks of filming. And I was so over the moon to have gotten this part and to be suddenly like on this TV set. And I was really, really so getting on so well with the rest of the cast, and we were becoming really, really good friends. And we were filming something in a car. But often, I think also because none of us were old enough to legally drive. So they had to put the car on like a low loader and like drive it around so it looked like it was driving through. They kind of let us sit in the car to like take it back to where it needed to be. And we were driving through the center of Bristol, which was also where I lived and had grown up. And I remember it really vividly, like it was like a hot summer's day and the windows were open and there was this like gorgeous breeze blowing in. And I was with this like group of young actors who I was sort of falling in love with platonically. And the song that was playing on the car radio was Lipstick by Alicia Dixon. And I just felt in that moment, like I felt really cool for I felt like legitimately like I'm living a really cool, brilliant life right now. And this moment is everything to me. So I would quite like to be able to go back to that whenever I chose.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. I think you epitomize what so many people grew up thinking of cool teenagers. Especially, I was so upset. I feel like I have pictures of Cassie on my like little mood board I had in my room of her outfits. Did you get to ever keep any of the clothes? She had some amazing clothes.
Well, some of them were mine to begin with.
Cool.
They asked me to bring in a like bin bag of clothes, and we used certain pieces that I already owned in the show. And then I was very good friends with the costume designer. I'm still very good friends with him. And he let me, at a very, very reduced price, buy a huge quantity of clothes. So I had like almost her entire wardrobe, I think I took home with me. But it was quite difficult I realized quite quickly I couldn't really go like wear those clothes out of the house because I would be walking around like in character. So these like beautiful, beautiful things and weird, wonderful things. And I didn't get enough wear out of most of them, which was a shame.
Eleanor in Cornwall asks, do you think the skills that make you a good actor, like empathy and emotional availability, made you more vulnerable to the experiences that you write about?
Yes, I do think that. And I think that's something that kind of became more and more apparent throughout the writing process. I had a lot of uncertainty about why what had happened. And I was able to see as I laid the whole story out in front of me, how the qualities that made me a good actor made me very vulnerable to wanting desperately to believe in something, being good at believing in that thing. And then I think also the instability of my mental health had a certain relationship with my desire to be an actor in the first place, and then also was exacerbated by my acting career, the highs and lows that I was experiencing through getting these amazing jobs, having these incredible experiences filming them, and then crashing back down into a kind of sometimes quite long period of unemployment. My mental landscape was also a lot of highs and lows. And so the highs were just getting higher and the lows were getting lower.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Kate in London wants to know, I'm trying to write my own memoir and I'm struggling reliving dark moments from my past. Do you have any advice for someone who's life writing?
Yes, I found that I had to create quite strict rules for myself about how much time I would work on the book within a day. I found I needed to really limit it to no more than about 2 hours a day. Yeah. And even within those 2 hours, I should probably take a few little breaks. And I think at the beginning, I was so invested in the idea of like being a writer who like was writing all day, which I now think is like unsustainable anyway, whatever you're writing. But I would write, sometimes I wrote, hugely kind of traumatic sections of the book in a kind of slightly fugue state and for hours and hours, and then we just have to sleep for the whole rest of the day. And I realized that even if the writing was going well, if I'd been doing it for 2 hours, it was probably time to step away and just kind of take care of myself and be kind to myself and relax and try and like go for a walk, like literally kind of move it off me. I also think if you're telling your story, no one else can tell it for you. Like your story is unique to you and your voice will be unique to you. And so there's no sense of, there shouldn't be a rush. You have time because no one else is going to tell your story in the way you're able to tell it. So I think taking the pressure off to do it quickly and just taking breaks as and when you need them, which will probably be quite often, is really, really important.
That's really good advice. It's interesting, we've been speaking about the effect that acting has on your body, but it's very similar with writing, reliving things. You know, if you're revisiting things that made you feel really sad or low, it's of course natural that as you write them and put them to the page, you'll feel like that again. So going for a walk, moving your story is really important.
Because writing's not, it doesn't feel physical, like you're usually sat down when you're doing it. But I get so tired after it, particularly when I was writing this book, I would get so exhausted. And I was saying this to a friend. I was like, I don't understand why I get so tired. And she's a writer as well. She's a poet, but a lot of her work is very personal. And she said, well, you've got jet lag because you've been somewhere else. You've traveled in time to write about those memories. And now you've come back to the present moment. So of course you're exhausted. And it was really helpful, I think, to give myself permission to find it tiring. And I found that metaphor very, very useful.
Wow, that's really unlocked something for me because that's so true, isn't it? It does take you a while to land somewhere else in your mind and feel that you're situated there to do the kind of dreaming and conjuring that you need to be able to do to write something that feels very real.
Yeah, and I think it's equally true of fiction because you're traveling to another world that you've created and then back into reality. And I just think everyone needs to be aware that they're jet lagged after they've written for a bit.
Yeah, and what do you do for jet lag? Go out, get some sunlight, take a walk.
Exactly.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
What are you writing at the moment? Are you back in that thing of, trying to write 2 hours a day?
I'm not writing 2 hours a day. At the moment, I'm mainly just reading because I don't have a lot of capacity for much at the moment because it's been really busy with the book coming out. But I have been playing around with fiction lately. And it's been really fun to be in a different mode. And it's been really fun to make stuff up and have permission to kind of, to not know what's going to happen and then have it occur to me is so exciting. I'm like, where does that come from? Where does the made up stuff come from? I don't understand. And so I found although I've said I'm taking a break from that for now, I'm making notes on my phone and having ideas when I'm on walks. And so it feels like when I do have time, I'm really excited to get back into that.
I'm grinning because I'm so excited to read what you write next. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to me, Hannah. I was on holiday when I was reading it and it was just fantastic to be with you for all that time.
Oh, thank you.